this. I can't remember the dance right now, but spotlight hits me. Jamiroquai can't eat. And like I said, I wasn't good at sports. My whole family's obsessed with sports. My little brother's name's Jordan, after Michael Jordan. And they were always talking about Michael Jordan. He's in the flow. He's in the zone. I was like, I want to be in the zone. How do I get in the zone? This was me in the zone.
He's like, it's a pizza delivery guy. And he's like, He's got like, this one draw an astronaut, this one's like wants to be Elon Musk, this one wants to be a television star. So he calls this kid's mom and he goes, we should meet. So they meet up and he goes, what's up with the drawing? What's up with the pizza delivery boy? What's going on? She goes, oh, I can tell you exactly why that happens. He says, why? She goes, his dad's in prison, his uncle's on drugs, and his other uncle's a pizza delivery boy.
Hey, so I just got back from Dreamtopia workshop day 1. Just wanted to say thank you to Cathy for hosting it, and also thank you to Quinn, because I actually won my $25 Dreamtopia tickets from her. So thank you. But I just wanted to do a video to kind of highlight some of the main takeaways that I got from this workshop, because it was really, really good. I totally cried a couple of times, but all good tears. But I think one of my main concerns before going was that I didn't know anyone who was gonna be there, I didn't know anyone who was going, I just was like, who am I gonna talk to? Am I gonna be by myself the whole time? So I kind of had a little bit of anxiety over that, but it was all fine. I did meet a couple of cool people, so that like eased my nerves. So let's do a couple of the main takeaways. So some of the main takeaways I got was, so I'm not going to go through all of them, I'm just going to do some of the highlighted ones that I really, really liked. And so one of them was Andy J. Peeksa. So I actually follow Andy J. Peeksa's work, and I also follow his podcast, Creative Pep Talk. What I didn't know was his backstory. So even though I saw his illustrations around, I listened to his podcast, I actually never thought to dive into his backstory, which I probably should have, because it's actually like an amazing hero's journey, right? And that's kind of the way he prefaced it. So some of the main takeaways from that was the maze is the key. And to preface that, or to give it context, what he means by that was he kind of saw like the stages of where he wanted to be as, okay, like there's this maze and I want to be at the end of it, right? And so like when he was first starting out, he wanted to use all these cheat codes, but turns out he probably should have gone through the maze, because he did use the cheat codes, and when he got to the end of it, he had to face the final boss. But he did not have enough tricks up his sleeve, was what he said, and all he had was, as a magician, you know how they pull out the tissue? That was his metaphor anyways, but essentially he just had one tissue, and that was his only trick, and he was like, yeah, that is not enough. So it was that, the maze is the key. And then the other one that I thought was super duper interesting was, if you hear a whisper, like he kind of likes to think of that as your future self kind of whispering back to your like past self, go do it, right? So that was one of the cool main takeaways from his talk. The other main takeaway was, let's see. Oh, it was from Taylor, and she's a comedian, and she has a podcast out. And I just thought this was super duper true. It was keep your eye on your own paper. So a lot of the times I think we like to talk about not comparing, but in the sense where we're not comparing ourselves to someone who we think is doing such an amazing job, right? We're like, we're not at that level, I feel, or I'm not at that level, I feel really bad about myself because I'm not there. But we don't really talk about the, I guess, reverse maybe, where we're like, well, at least I'm not in that position. We always kind of do that, and that's kind of seen as more okay, right? And in both scenarios, though, that's toxic, right? And so she says, keep your eye on your own paper. Like, don't focus on what they're doing, just do you, essentially. And I really like that. And then the other thing that she said that I thought was super good advice for when you do face your failures or rejection was that act as if, like, in the moment, you're probably like, oh God, I totally messed up, I totally failed, but you should treat that with, like, pretend it's 20, 30 years plus and you're already successful, and you kind of use that as an antidote, right? Like, back when I was, like, well, the event is current, right? Like, back when I don't know, I'm gonna use the example of I fell on my face and embarrassed myself in front of everyone. I don't know. That would be the example, but it would be using that and then being like, well, back when I was, I don't know, insert age, or 3 years ago, like, this happened to me, LOL, type of thing. And I thought that was really interesting. The other takeaway was from Cynthia, and it was essentially, we are nobody, but also everybody, right? And to me, it kind of connected back into this thought of it's all just a construct and made up and contrived, right? We can just build it into whatever we want it to be. It's also very paradoxical, I think this world operates in, but those are kind of my main takeaways from day one. It was super overwhelming, to be quite honest, just because there was so many good information, but those were just some of my key highlights from the workshop. One of them was from Jeff. It was essentially, don't take the leap, build the bridge. And I think I really liked it just because I feel like I'm a lot more of a person who tends to like to keep it on the safe side. So to me, that felt very safe, like, build the bridge, okay, and then make the leap, right? But the other thing that he did was, I'm going to call it the 3-step thing. It's probably not called that, but essentially it was, listen to your life. Do you know you? And that played with, I guess, the idea of, do you know yourself / how well do you know yourself? And the second thing is find your feather, which kind of goes back into step 1, which was, now that you know yourself, you know what you want to do. And then the third is stay in your lane. So the third thing ties into the second thing, and the second thing ties into the first thing. But essentially, for stay in your own lane, that reminded me of day 1 where Taylor talks about, keep your eyes on your own paper. So, like, don't focus on what everyone else is doing. What are you doing? And just stay focused on that lane, right? Stay focused there. And the second person, I guess, that had a quote that I really liked was, the spirit meets you at the point of action. And that actually reminded me of day 1 again, which was, I think, from Sahara, but she essentially said the point of clarity. Wait, clarity is where the point of action is. Something to that effect, but essentially I thought these two quotes kind of held hand in hand. The third person that I'm going to quote from is Saul, and his story reminded me of Andy J. Peaks' story, which I think both of the stories are both epic and amazing, beautiful, like hero's journey, and I think maybe that's probably why I perhaps cried. I did cry, but I think it was just the way they tell stories kind of pull your emotions in it as well. So you like go through the hero's journey with them. And so one of the things he talks about is to know the recipe. And that was essentially the action steps to getting to your goal. And his recipe was, I guess at least one of the recipe he got was a piece of paper that essentially told him when he was in high school anyways, like what schools he should apply to, because those were the schools that Disney was recruiting from. And his thing was he wanted to be a Disney animator. So that was one of the recipes. And then the other thing he talks about is the goal of life. And the goal of life isn't, to make yourself happy. Instead, the goal and the focus of life should be how do you become a better person. And I think the way he quoted it was, how can I take responsibility for the world? By the way, I'm also reading from this note, or these crazy notes. But that's kind of the overall takeaway from day 2. I also super duper enjoyed the sound bath meditation, or is it the bath sound meditation? Either or, I really enjoyed that, but I also really, really like meditations. I think the person in maybe the left of me was they were totally asleep because I heard snoring. I'm gonna assume they were asleep, but I was like, wow, I wish I could fall asleep that easily, but I was just they're super duper enjoying this. But that's kind of the wrap up of day 2.